Ty Bartel with the second of the 1-2 player profile punch, this time with one of the senior leaders over at the Austintown Fitch Softball Club, Madi Beaudis. Madi, how we doing today?
Good. How are you?
No, not doing too bad. Madi, as always, we always like to start chapter one of softball because I feel like that's where the love began. That's always the best place to start this whole story. So let's look at chapter one of your softball career. Where did it start? What's some of your earliest memories with it and some of the first experiences you remember with the game?
Yeah, so I started playing at AGSL when I was like 4 years old, and I was coached under Jason Hill, who's become like a second father to me. He's my best friend's dad. We've grown up with each other. He's my next door neighbor too. So we've been with each other since then. And my love for softball started all throughout those years. And I ended up playing on some all-star team when I was 9, which was the first like really good team that I was on. And that team was so fun to play on. And that's when I really realized how much I love this sport.
And having experience with such top level athletes your whole career is always kind of, I feel like, giving you a chip on your shoulder as well going through your career. When you talk about the experiences and the type of players that you've gotten to play with, how important and impactful have those relationships been on not just your softball career but your personal life as well?
Yeah, playing with these people have been amazing. Whether it's been travel or high school, I've played with such great players. Ayla Ray and Cindy Watts have become two of my best friends that I'm gonna have forever. Also on travel, like Julie Stakowitz has become a huge friend of mine. Tori Strines, we've been together since I was 9. That was my first travel team with them. So these, yeah, will be my best friends for life.
I feel like softball always comes in those three big stepping stones, right? You go through the either slow pitch or fast pitch when you first get involved with it too. Then you go into the high school ranks, and then college is like the mecca where you want to end up as well too. But when you talk about getting to high school, there's always those nerves, I feel like, too, about taking that next step into the softball journey. What was that like for you going into your freshman year and transitioning to the high school varsity level of softball? What were the nerves like, and how'd you combat those?
Yeah, my freshman year, I was definitely really nervous. I didn't pretty much know anyone on the team except for like McKenna was there, Caitlin was there. One of my best friends that I was talking about, Leah Hill, she played my freshman year, and then it got canceled due to COVID. And I remember almost feeling like excited because of that because I was so nervous, didn't like know anyone else. But then my sophomore year, when we came back and I met Ayla and Bella Tofu, who used to play, it was completely different. So much like the seniors included us so much more. We were so much more together, and it was so much of a better year, so much more comfortable.
I remember that COVID year quite fondly because of how it really just changed the entire complexity of how sports were consumed in Northeast Ohio and high school sports in general. I mean, you guys, baseball and softball, lost an entire season. Yeah, other seasons were impacted, but you guys lost the whole season. When you talk about losing your freshman year playing wise on the field, I know travel ball did make up for that a little bit in the summer, but what was that unique experience like for you? Because that's something that not every player that goes through this has that experience, especially in their freshman year.
Yeah, it was definitely weird with that year being canceled because no one really knew what was happening. No one knew what was going to happen the following year. And it was hard, especially on the seniors that year, because that was their last year playing softball ever. So it was definitely difficult and hard on most people, but we got through it.
Going into your sophomore year, then it was almost kind of like year one for you, as you, I guess, freshman became kind of like year zero. So, how was that like going in then to sophomore year? Being the first year you're taking varsity at bats, getting varsity looks too. What was that kind of feeling like being at the sophomore level, but getting your first looks with the freshmen?
Yeah, because it felt like everyone, then sophomores and freshmen, we were like all freshmen. It was our first year really trying to show what we could do, show how we could perform. So it was definitely weird and an adjustment at first, but I feel like everyone adjusted pretty well. And after the first couple of games, everyone knew what was going to happen this year.
You were a mainstay since that point too, since last year as well. A mainstay in the lineup, a mainstay in the field as well. Being a part of such a competitive varsity team that has so much talent on it, what's it like competing inside the reins of the Falcon softball team, competing against the other girls too? I know everyone's hungry for spots. You guys all get along. You love each other too, no doubt. But there's only 9 spots on the field. You always are competing. You kept yours too. What's that like though? And players making each other better on the team.
Yeah, it's definitely a competition. When people talk about high school ball, they always like seem to like blow it off, like it's not like like the girls on the team aren't always that good and it's kind of like rec ball for them. But that's totally different with our team because everyone is at such a high level that you could put anyone in the field and they're going to be right there. They're going to step up, which is definitely nice. And it's good to have that so we can push each other and we get our spots.
I always like to ask the seniors about their favorite Wardism because I think Coach Ward has a plenty of sayings that he likes to go to. What's Madi Beaudis's favorite Wardism?
He says a lot of stuff, but he most of the time yells at me and Ayla for being annoying and telling us to be quiet in the dugout, especially when we do our cheers. Some of them he really has to tell us to quiet down, but yeah.
It seems like both of you really kind of took over the reins. I know Kayla Schubert was a huge one in the dugout last year as far as just being loud, but you guys took over the reins of that, both upperclassmen. Was that something you knew that was going to be on your shoulders, or did it kind of just fall on your shoulders as I'm going to be the dugout voice? We're going to make sure that we're still the loudest dugout in the area. What was that like for you to kind of have that fall on your shoulders?
Yeah, with Kayla last year, she was so loud, and all the seniors always starting like all the chants, getting us going. So with them leaving, we knew someone had to step up and someone had to lead the annoying chants. So we decided to do it, and we always stand up on the benches and get everyone screaming in the dugout, telling everyone to be loud because we've noticed it gets in the other team's heads as we see all the players look over at our dugout in confusion. So it is always funny.
We talked about your unique experiences in freshman year all the way up now into your senior campaign. We're through the regular season just about. We have a game floating around or something, 3-3 tie Saturday or something. We'll get to that as far as the regular season games are concerned. But no, Madi, when we talk about your 4-year high school career now and just the experiences that you have, what have been some of your favorite experiences in this 4-year varsity high school career, playing with some of the best of the best?
Playing at Myrtle Beach is always one of the best times. Being able to see competition down there, teams we would never face, that's always so fun. Being able to play with the girls. This year's game against Champion was a game that was so fun to play, so nerve-wracking the entire time. I remember like standing out there like shaking at times because it was such a high anxiety game. But that one was one that I won't forget. That was such a fun game.
When we talk about experiences too, there's the good experiences, the highlights of your career. We'll talk about the highlights of your career, but before we get to the highlights, I want to talk about last year and how the season ended and what kind of experience that was like for you, experiencing that heartbreak at that kind of level. How much better of a player did that make you? How much better of a person did that make you experiencing something like that?
Yeah, that game was huge. And although it was heartbreaking, I feel like it's been like kind of a good thing now for this year's team because there were so many outside sources that were like chirping in at us last year. And I feel like that's a big thing we've worked on is how to stay in ourselves, how to not listen to people when they talk to us outside, and just to stay in ourselves.
We talk about some of that, but those moments create the highlights for softball careers too. So when we talk about your career as a whole too, you can even narrow it down to high school. You can go before that if you want as well. But what are some of your favorite highlights in your softball career that stick out?
One of my favorite moments was in a scrimmage this year, and it was the last play of the game. And I remember my boyfriend and his friend were standing right alongside me in right field, and they were talking to me. And I couldn't see the ball because it was so bright outside in right field. And there was ball hit to me, and I dove for it, and I caught it, and just everyone around me, like in the field, ran over, and it was such a great feeling of like excitement and how much I loved this team because everyone was so happy, and it was just such a good feeling.
You guys got the defense locked down this year too, but teammate celebrations, I mean, you bring it up and I absolutely love the home run celebration that you guys have this year with the Shockwave. Where did that come about and who started that or who threw that idea around for the home run celebration?
I think that was Sydney who wanted to do that. We have, a bunch of different home run celebrations we try to switch in, but the one of us falling down is definitely my favorite one to do.
We talk about dugout cheers too. I asked Ayla this. I have to ask you it too. What's the favorite dugout cheer?
Like we said, I like the one where when the pitcher throws a couple balls and we say like 2 in a row or 3 in a row. It normally gets them pretty like wound up, and we sound good in the dugout when we do that cheer. So I like that one.
You guys are always making sure you stay in the pitcher's head, and I love it too. It's part of the gamesmanship of the game. In your career too, you've also experienced such high levels of success, conference champions. I don't think you've ever lost a conference champion. We still got one hanging in the balance, but you haven't lost a conference championship yet in your career too. Experiencing all this success in your career, what has that been like for you, personal life wise, being able to have this type of success, hard work paying off in the softball career? What's that been like? Has it transitioned to your personal life as well?
Yeah, being able to have this much success, there's so much hard work that goes in behind the scenes. So many practices, so many times where I'll come home and just hit in my or in my garage even into the net, because we know if we're gonna have all of the success, there has to be work in behind.
How much hard work was it cleaning up all the toilet paper with the senior prank? Because I know
Oh
that's
my God,
always one you got to talk about.
I still have toilet paper out on my garage everywhere because it rained that night and I didn't pick it up, and I should have, and it's like stuck now in like yards.
You're gonna have to break down these senior pranks too, and it's a tradition at Austintown Fitch. For the ones that may not know, you're gonna have to break it down for what this senior tradition is like for the senior pranks.
Yeah, everyone, all the juniors, sophomores, freshmen, they all go around and they toilet paper our houses the night before senior night. So our houses get destroyed. Cindy even went. You did too. Yeah. Cindy and Ayla both went into my room even, and it was right before I cleaned my room, which never happens. So that was, and they destroyed it, put toilet paper everywhere, and I was so mad.
Who's one of your favorite seniors that in your career you got to do that to? Because you were on the other end of it this year, but you got to be on the opposite ends before.
Maya McNevin's house 2 years ago, we destroyed her. We had so many trees, and yeah, we destroyed her house. Oh yeah, Ali Foley's. We got really. Oh yeah, Ali Foley's. We played Michael Meyer music outside of. We blasted it, and there was some guy in the apartment next to us who was screaming he was gonna call the cops out. So that was funny.
Yeah, you scared the whole neighborhood too with the TP prank. Madi, we talked about where this career started. We're talking about where it's going, still continuing. You guys are alive and well into the playoffs as well. But I want to talk about kind of the next steps after high school. What's the future look like for Madi Beaudis? What are some of your goals and aspirations?
Yeah, I'm going to YSU after this. I'm starting in the fall, and I'm planning to major in psychology because I want to be a clinical psychologist.
What was it about psychology that kind of interests you? Where that interest start out for you? What kind of pushed you towards that?
I've never really known what I wanted to do. I wanted to do something in forensics because I love like Criminal Minds and shows like that. So I originally started with forensics, but as I got more into it, I took psychology this year, and I just love the way like the mind works and all the different weird things about the brain. So that's what I want to study more.
You chose to stay local too. Some people chose to stay local. Some like to go a little bit out of the nest, and some like to go way out of the nest. What kind of kept you close to YSU and made you want to stay kind of local?
My whole life, I've always wanted to go away, actually, until this year really like sank in, and I'm not ready to leave my family and all my friends here yet. And so, I mean, my mom went to YSU, most of my family has. So when I first went there the first time, it really did feel like home. I've been there so many times. I met one of my professors there, like on my first tour, and he was wonderful. So I knew that was where I was going to go.
You're still young, and there's plenty of time too to get away after. You could definitely spend it with the fam a few more years. Talking about advice too, we talked about some of your favorite advice and some advice that coaches have given to you. But I want, from that senior perspective, what's that advice that you'd give to all those little girls that want to play softball, that maybe see what you guys are doing out on the field, see the highlights, see the videos, and say, I want to do that one day. I want to play on that team, or I want to be on these type of fields too. What's the advice to the little girls that want to get into softball, that want to get to that varsity level?
Yeah, I'd always just say just go for it and be positive always. No matter what's happening, I always like to try to keep a smile on my face to bring up my other teammates. So as long as you stay positive and confident, you can accomplish anything in your life.
All right, Madi, I think you have definitely brought the positivity. You've brought all kinds of energy into the dugout, and I don't think that the Falcons, honestly, would be quite the same without you on this year's team. But before we let you go, I always have to give you the chance to shout out all of your support system, the big names that have made Madi Beaudis who she is throughout her career, both personally and on the softball field. So shout those big names out now.
Yeah, my mom and dad first. They're wonderful. They have taken me everywhere. My sister and brother both as well. And then all of my coaches, my high school coaches, Travel, Kim Stakowitz, Nikki Fiddler, yeah, they've all had such big impacts in my life. So, thank you.
Maddie, we thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day throughout practices to give us a little bit of time to just get a profile and a preview into your softball career and your life. As we wish you nothing but the best of luck in your future endeavors. This has been another edition of Player Profile with Ty Bartell and Maddie Beaudis.